Hey guys, it's Mary Park and welcome to Approach the Nerd Arrowverse Tuesday. Oh, we got three things to talk about tonight. We got Black Lightning, we've got The Flash, and we've got Supergirl, because why not? So let's start with Black Lightning. Remember last week, everybody was in a very precarious position. Basically, we had Lynn being arrested and basically, as far as I'm concerned, almost being sexually assaulted by a security guard. We had Anissa standing in the middle of the road trying to use her powers as basically an ongoing car was about to hit her. We had Jefferson fighting Ishmael, getting his butt kicked. Honestly, he was doing pretty well up until that point. And now it looks like he's going to die. And then we've got JJ falling once again because lightning has to fall to her death, or something always has to happen when that girl is flying. But falling to her death because all of them have been affected by Tobias's emitter that he took from pretty much Lauren and the organization. So he basically took the emitter or bribed someone for the emitter and then used pretty much the nullifiers like powers to control all the metahumans. So there are a lot of dummies in Freeland. I don't know what's going on, but I will tell you this. All of the Pierces would be S freaking O freaking L without Gamby. They would literally, they had never would have made it this far without Gamby. Because Gamby literally put fail safes in all of their suits. Well, Nissa didn't have hers on, but all of them had fail safes. So I'm really curious. I know that Anissa's suit we saw cannot, like if you shoot it, it's bulletproof. So, and she's able to, basically extend her resilience. So I guess that's her suit. But yeah, so JJ basically, when she's falling, there's a protective bubble that prevents her from crashing to her death. Gamby. When Jefferson starts getting his butt kicked by Ishmael, his suit has a stealth mode. Which I'm like, why the hell didn't it have a stealth mode to begin with? That's pretty badass. I would have had that back when they were dealing with the Makovians and the ASA. I mean, heck, even one Crisis that would have come in, in handy. Of course, he was one of the few Black characters that had like 10 minutes of screen time in Crisis. So really, he was invisible anyway. Yeah, I know that's my running joke. But Gamby has their back. And so I will say, I knew that's how they were going to get out of their predicaments. And then Anissa, her wife, saved her, even though I don't understand why Anissa's dumbass. I'm sorry, I had to say this. Let me do it again. So you got the car, and you got Anissa, and she's just standing there, like she's literally still trying to use her powers the entire time this car is going. And I promise you just got to go hard right or hard left. The car needs traction to turn that fast. And they obviously were not trying to kill her hard enough because not one of them came back to finish the job. I mean, Anissa and Grace were able to go into Darius's house to find, the thumb drive, which she figured out was in his embalmed dog, like underneath the embalmed dog, I guess plaque or whatever he has him sitting on, that the thumb drive was in there. So I'm like, this whole situation is dumb. Why wasn't this just standing there saying, oh, I'm like, what if you don't get this? I'm like, you know what? It's not the first time, and this is not, is stupid. It probably will not be the last. I like the Pierce family, but they do some dumb shit. All right. So I'm going to stay on Gamby for a second. So Gamby's stressed out because he's trying to figure out what the heck is happening. And we all know at this point, just accept this has something to do with Tobias. Just accept it. Just accept it. Because it has something to do with Tobias. Everything that's gone wrong in this season so far has something to do with Tobias. So why would you not even consider this? I mean, you already know he did something. You know that he did something. Lynn already knew that they had a nullifier. I mean, just accept it. Tobias is literally an evil genius at this point. He is the Lex Luthor we needed and deserved in the Arrowverse. But I will say this. I don't know who the board is supposed to be, but I'm kind of hoping it's Intergang, because I know in the comics he had some dealings with Intergang as well as the 100 when he was back in Metropolis, because technically he was more a Metropolis he did a lot of dealings in Metropolis. And I think at one point they were trying to like invade Gotham as points too. But Intergang was one of the organizations that Tobias Well in the comics was associated with. So that's why I'm just seeing all the people in the council when he opened the box. I'm like, oh, are they trying to recruit him into Intergang? Because that would be kind of cool, especially since we already know there's references of it in Superman and Lois. So that would be cool. And him having a seat on the board would be cool. I mean, on all intents and purposes, he is the DC version of Kingpin. So I could kind of see that being a thing, him being an Intergang. And then we get the new gods and we get a bunch of other cool characters that are introduced. Apparently, have Darkseid eventually introduced. So all that could be like interconnected. That's if Tobias Wells is going to be a playable character after the show ends. We have 3 episodes left, so I don't know. I was just throwing that out there. I thought that would be kind of cool. Lynn. Lynn. So man, I don't know. I don't know what it is about relationships in Black Lightning. Like nobody seems to be able to have successful or healthy relationships in that series. So Lynn's literally flirting with her lawyer, Keith, who was hired by Anissa because Lynn called Anissa to try and get, apparently her boyfriend's a very good lawyer to get her out of jail instead of going to Jefferson and, trusting him to get her out, which he was in his feelings about, which I get. But I mean, Jefferson, you got to understand, you and Lynn have been dysfunctional since day one. I mean, in the comics, they were always divorced. So I don't even know why he's surprised, that she went to her ex-boyfriend and she was rubbing, like when she was thanking him, she was like rubbing dude's arm. I'm like, okay, so I see what we're doing right now. So Lynn, that may be a thing that happens. I think that it'll be sad if they actually make that more canon or more comic book canon, but we may be seeing a divorce between Jefferson and Lynn by the end of this series. They may go their own ways because, I mean, again, they were divorced in the comics. As far as I remember, I don't think they ever got back together. I mean, it could be maybe after New 52, if a lot has changed, so maybe they could have, but I don't think so. But I don't know. I just don't foresee the way they talk to each other, the way they treat each other. I kind of feel like that's not going to be a thing. So, yeah. So I have questions about that. Also, Anissa and Grace. So Grace is like excited not to have her powers because, quite frankly, I don't blame her. She's got a lot of trauma surrounding her powers. So not only was she sold into sex slavery, I mean, she was abused for being a metahuman from day one. So her having a chance at a normal life, she's like, hey, I want to do that. And then this is like, no, I am my powers. When you fell in love with me, I was a metahuman. I'm always a metahuman. And I will do anything to get my powers back. And this is basically, for me, that tells me, and this is a value to her, is not being a doctor, not being a wife. It's being a metahuman. And like, she was in her feelings and Grace was like, yeah, but I mean, I feel like one day our numbers are going to run out. We're not going to be lucky all the time. Something's going to happen. Something's always happening. This family is never normal as long as we have powers. And Nissa got upset and walked away. I mean, that is like literally the most dysfunctional. Like, I get Anissa because Anissa's role model for marriage were her parents. And we both know how that goes. So that's a problem. That is a problem. But I just feel like they can't have successful relationships. And poor Gambi, I think Gambi still really is into Lauren, and Lauren is very much into Gambi. And she figured out that, that Go board was surveillance, basically had surveillance in it. And of course, she's like, someone took my emitter as well as the promethium. And he's like, I didn't do that. I just took the promethium. I didn't take the emitter. And he managed to talk her out of shooting him, because she rolled in saying, once a spy, always a spy. It's just really sad because I really think Gambi is into this woman, and he's old. They need to let Gambi have a woman because, I mean, none of the rest of them are doing okay. I mean, none of them are doing okay. Not one person in the series. Yes, Anissa and Grace are married, but I mean, they fight, and it's so, as cute as they are together and as canon as they are, I love them in the comics. They are like this in the comics, but it's completely different relationship. Grace is a completely different character in the comics. I just feel like the Grace Joy we have with Anissa in Black Lightning Arrowverse is borderline dysfunctional as hell, because Grace can't have an opinion that Anissa doesn't like without Anissa getting in her feelings and walking away. So, it's a thing. And I kind of see it from both perspectives, but I mean, that's just effed up. So yeah, I had some problems with that. Now, Painkiller was on point. Ella Khalil, Painkiller fight scenes. I feel like he gets the best choreography out of everybody in the Arrowverse. And like, they're just like, we're going to make Painkiller get, picked up by CW. So we're going to make sure we have him in every fight scene, kicking everybody's ass. I mean, just like make him look better than everybody, even the star of the show. And this is his last season. We're going to have him be more badass than even Jefferson. So I see what they're doing. My dream is for him to not only fight Ishmael before the series is over, but to also have a showdown with Tobias, because I really feel like he needs to have that before he hops over to his other show and deals with Odell and Maya. That would be, to me, would be a dream. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So, but it should. But I love that Khalil is claustrophobic. I'm like, I feel you, bro. Because when he was in that air duct or whatever, and he was climbing, I was like, I'm like, we're going to have to find another way, because I'm not doing that. I'm like, I am claustrophobic as hell. I hate elevators. I can't go in them by myself. So I was feeling him. And the fact that, his tech guy, whose name just went out of my head, was laughing at him, making fun of him. No, them fighting words. Those are fighting words. You get in the freaking enclosed space. And I love how he's like, I'm not claustrophobic. I just don't like tight spaces. I'm like, it's basically the same damn thing. But yeah, so let's talk about JJ. Why is JJ progressively dumber in every episode? Like, Jen was gone. Then we got JJ, and she was kind of like level-headed a little bit at first. Then she started to have more of the Jen irrational thoughts, because that is Jen's dysfunction. She doesn't think rationally at all. So she's like, I know what I'm going to do. The internet told me if I get a wire and I put my hand in a wire with water, it'll zap the hell out of me and maybe I'll get my powers back. And this is like, but you all don't have powers right now and you could die. Well, that's why my brilliant sister is going to restart my heart. I'm like, lady, that's not how that works. That is not how that works. But she got her powers back somehow, some way. And the first thing she wanted to do is, Joe, I'm going to go up in the ionosphere and recharge myself. I'm like, Lord, this chick. I'm like, she does not learn. At one point, and this is like, well, what happens if you go up there and never come back? I'm like, and I'd be fine with that. I'm like, just let her go. Look, we've got lightning and thunder and natural occurrences. We don't have to have lightning because she's stupid. But she went up there. Poor TC is like literally talking old style, like on, with the headset in, like, pretty much Cisco and all them have to do on comms. And he's like, why'd you go in there without me? And she's like, I can't come back. He's like, just freaking descend. The particles will just stay. And I'm like, why didn't she think of that? You fly up, you're done charging, you fly back down. It's not brain science, it's not neurosurgery. I don't understand why JJ was made to be unintelligent in this episode too. But I will say that they did focus on the particles when she flew back down. So maybe that means that Jen and JJ are going to now split into two different people. Because that's what I feel like's happening. Because I could have swore that we kept hearing Jen's voice, or like her having Jen's memories, and like parts of Jen were almost like a separate entity, just like Khalil and Painkiller in her mind. So maybe by her going up there, the particles that were originally Jen got split and will reform, and then we'll have two lightnings or two. I don't know how the hell that worked. Like I said, it'd be kind of cool if we had like a Superman versus Dark Superman moment, like from the third movie, where they beat the hell out of each other for dominance, and that's what happens between JJ and Jen. I think that'd be cool. But I don't know if China was planning on coming back for the last couple episodes. We only have 3 episodes left, so I don't know. But from what it's looking like, JJ and Jen may be split into 2 people. That's my theory, because why else focus on those particles that look like they were forming? So just throwing it out there. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I like the fact that we're getting more and more involved into Tobias. And like I said last week, this was just the first part of his plan. He's got a very intricate plan on how he's going to F everything up. It's very imperative that he wins the mayoral election. And if this is inner gang, it makes sense because they like to basically take full control of everything when they come in and swoop things. So if he is trying to get in with intergang, then this makes absolute sense why he's doing all this. It's not just a vendetta against Jefferson. It is a power trip. He wants more power. He wants a seat on one of the most powerful gangs in the DC universe, and that is intergang. So I really think that's what's happening. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what's happening. But there's so many things that are going wrong. Like Jefferson literally was like talking to Lynn about his feelings. And I was like, I was uncomfortable. I was like, wait, what? We're not in therapy? Like, he's like, you don't trust me to save you. You don't rely on me to protect you. And it's like, wow. He really was like being like vulnerable. And of course, Gammy like messed that up by bringing them free food. But, because that's what he did. He brought free food. And, but for a moment, it looked like they were about to have an actual conversation about their feelings. And now, I wasn't ready. I'm so used to them brushing over and being assholes to each other. I was not ready for this level of openness between Jefferson and Lynn. So I don't know. And of course, Tobias let Destiny know that not only is he taking over Cobra and all of the gang, he's got the 100, he's got every gang in Freeland. Ishmael now works for him. So Destiny got checkmated, and she's like, well, have a good day. But I don't like the way she said that. She was like, yeah, she is a sniper. That girl is not going down without a fight. And Lala's Han Solo butt is now a decoration in Tobias's office or penthouse or whatever. So yeah, Black Lightning was a mess, guys. That was a mess. It was a mess. I don't know how many more episodes we'll have to see Lopez, because like the chief of police has this vendetta against metahumans, but we don't get to see a lot of it. Like, she's barely in it. Besides creating this task force, she really hasn't done anything. So, her master plan isn't really a master plan because she's not really doing anything, if that makes sense. Tobias is really doing everything. Like, I don't even know why we needed to have this chick come in and say, all metahumans are trash and they killed the last mayor and blah, 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 blah. Because quite frankly, she's not doing anything. So, missed opportunity, I guess. We have 3 episodes left in this series. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, let me scroll to the top so we can look at some of the comments. Hello, how are you? JJ being dumb again. You got to feel bad for her because she's like, my whole identity is gone. The only thing that keeps me sane is the fact that I was lightning. And I'm like, no, what about that guy you're flirting with every 5 minutes? I thought that was keeping you sane. But yeah, whatever. I'm waiting for Khalil to say, where's Jen? Because if he's in town, why isn't he trying to see Jen? And why hasn't anybody told him that JJ is now Jen? How would that go down? I wonder how that's going to go down. I don't know. A lot went down on Blacklight. I feel like I get so much from one episode. The CW needs to take lessons from how the show is made. I agree. They really do put a lot. They put a lot per episode. That's the one problem I have with The Flash is that sometimes The Flash will do maybe 1 or 2 themes, but if they add in a third or fourth element, it gets kind of wasted or like lost in translation. And we'll get to that when we talk about The Flash in a second. But yeah, they definitely know how to cliffhanger some folks. they literally, for me, Black Lightning is definitely the Netflix Defender / MCU model versus the standard Arrowverse CW model. And Nissa not accepting she does not have her powers. Nissa doesn't accept anything she don't want to accept. She is stubborn as hell. She is stubborn as hell. Like when she was like telling Jen, I'm going to do this. How could I stop her? And then she's like, what should I do? Tie her on the couch? And Grace was like, yeah. I'm like, what is wrong with this family? What did I marry into? I don't understand. So I get it. I get exactly where Grace is coming from in terms of she does not understand the stupidity that sometimes they show in the series. JJ isn't making the best decisions, but even normal people at her age can have a fragile sense of their identity, and all the meta drama JJ is dealing with, I sympathize for her. I agree with that. I sympathize with JJ because I mean it's weird to go your whole life looking a certain way, and then all of a sudden be completely physically different. Even down to parts of your personality seem different. I get that, but I mean the thing that damaged you is not something you keep going to fix yourself. That's stupid. You don't make extremely stupid, suicidal decisions because you're having a hard time dealing. That's a whole other level. So I don't know what's going on with that. Everything's coming up Tobias. Everything always comes up Tobias in Black Lightning. Do we know if the inner game bosses have powers of their own? That's what I'm trying to figure out. It depends on who they're representing because there have been so many members of Intergang. Lex Luthor was an Intergang member, which is kind of interesting considering how much he dislikes aliens, and we know that there were alien members of Intergang. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the only entity I can think of that would be powerful enough and attractive enough for Tobias to want to join would be Intergang. Now, is it Intergang? I don't know, but that's what I was looking. I'm like, it's totally Intergang. I love what the dude was like. Just close the box. That was funny as hell. I get that. I went to school with people who did not think things through, but come on, this is like the 12th time she got hurt from doing the same thing. I know. I don't understand. I mean, the writers already got it in for you, girl. I mean, they make you fly up in the sky and you just fall out all the damn time. I don't know what it is. At this point, I don't think you should be flying anymore. I don't get it. They are divorced in the show. They are divorced, but they're semi together, if that makes sense. They're like living together, partnership or domestic partnership, 9/10 of the law kind of situation now. So I look at them as domestic partners. So we're either going to have a wedding at the end of this series or like remarriage, whatever, or we're going to have a complete split. But yes, the whole thing with Lynn's entire character has been assassinated as far as I'm concerned. So, let's see. With everything going on, JJ is basically growing up in the middle of an urban meta-human war. I think we have to judge her based on those circumstances. Yeah, like I said, we need to judge JJ's circumstances. Nobody is taking away the fact that she's gone through a lot of shit. But the decisions and choices you make show what kind of person you are by how you deal with these things. It's not like, adversity and, like insurmountable odds are something she's not used to because they've gone through crap since season 1. At this point, you just need to be rolling with this stuff. Yes, you have an identity crisis. I get that. But you do not try to kill yourself to get your powers back. You do not keep going to the ionosphere because you feel like that's going to set your powers back in motion and give you back what you lost when that's the thing that took the stuff from you to begin with. I mean, it almost killed you. There's a fine line between being understanding and then whooping someone's ass. She needs an ass whooping. That's what she needs. Over the knee, set it straight. That's all I'm saying. Speaking as a mother. Will Gravedigger make a return before the series is over? I hope so, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Wayne Brady's doing. I need him to make an appearance, but I mean, he might actually roll into Painkiller, which I am not, I would not hate. But yeah, it's interesting that we don't have Gravedigger because we know he's alive. So I don't know. Like I said, they have 3 episodes to tie up a lot of stuff, and I don't know how they're going to do it, to be honest with you. So I mean, I'll be impressed if they do. I'd be really happy if Jefferson and Lynn could reconcile their relationship by the end of the show. Yes, but in a healthy way where they talk to each other and they don't talk crap to each other and they don't accuse each other of ruining each other's lives. I think that would be awesome. And continue couples therapy with a better counselor. I just want Painkiller to meet JJ and see his reaction. I want that. I want him to fight Ishmael so bad. And I want him to fight Tobias. I really do. May the 4th be with you all. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah. Maybe it's her unstable particles affecting her brain. Possibly. She could actually not be feeling herself because Jen is also in her head. So, because I feel like they're 2 different people. And that's why she feels nervous and not herself. She even says, I don't feel like I'm Jen. And I think it's true. I don't think she is Jen. I think Jen is trapped inside of her. So it's gonna be really, it's almost like if somebody split Painkiller and Khalil, then we have a whole like, Caitlin Frost scenario going on, but with like Khalil and the insane sociopathic brother Painkiller. I guess he just go by Pain. But yeah, it's crazy. Around the Khalil has claustrophobia, while in his mind there are two people in a small space sharing the space. I know. Well, hell, at the ASA, he was basically a little enclosed space all the damn time. But again, he was Painkiller 100% of the time, so I guess that makes sense. JJ got her powers back because of CW plot. Yep. You look. No. I'm like, I was thinking, how come she's the only one? Nope. I actually think JJ is handling her circumstances better than most people her age would, which isn't to say she's handling them well. I mean, she's handling them as well as the CW script allows her to. Like, that's how that works. I mean, they have Jennifer doing the dumbest stuff ever. Jennifer has always been highly problematic in Black Lightning because she always goes off and does shit that, I just don't understand. And like I said, as somebody who's had a Black parent, they get away with a lot of stuff that I would have been killed for. So, I mean, heck, she's done everything from running away with her boyfriend to blowing up, basically murdering people by nuclear. Like, I think she did nuclear an entire camp, Makovian camp. She does all kinds of stuff. And like, people just like, well, it's Jen. I'm like, no, that's not how that goes. That's not how that goes. I really think China's coming back just from that ending. Probably in her contract, she probably signed to do like a last appearance, maybe in the last episode, which is fine. They don't have to explain why there's now two Jens. They just have to figure out how to work with them both. So, and to be fair, I feel like if Jennifer does come back, she'll come back as Freeland's Lightning. And then JJ will go off and be another version of Lightning, or JJ will be probably a Painkiller character somewhere else. Or Jennifer may come back and not have any powers at all, and JJ keeps all the powers. Who knows? But it'll be interesting. Speaking of the third Superman movie, does anybody think it's funny that Richard Pryor came close to killing Superman than Lex Luthor ever did? Yeah, I think because it's Richard Pryor. Like, imagine if Lex got a hold of this nullifying technology. Yeah, they'd be screwed. But then again, like I said, I think if Lex Luthor went up against Tobias Well, the CW version of Lex, he would die because Tobias is always 20 steps ahead. So yeah, I don't really think that Lex Luthor is going to outsmart Tobias. Gammy needs to design super suits for the rest of the Arrowverse. Gammy needs to be everybody's tech. I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody's been lacking at this point. Like, because Gamby is on it. Just like when they were like, this is kind of like a little nitpick. This is just me, okay? When TC took the thumb drive from Anissa and said, I have somebody who can decipher this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, so do I. His name is Gamby. I'm like, give it to fucking Gamby. I'm like, he's been doing this since season 1. Why do you have to go? I realize I need to have the Painkiller cast involved so they can get it picked up by the CW, get them, more ratings and blah, 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 blah. I understand. But that made me question because we have to suspend our disbelief, but it made me question the logic of this show. There's no universe where you have to go to anybody to decipher a damn thing when you got a whole ass Gamby, sitting there and can do it in like probably 10, 15 minutes. I don't know. That was just me, guys. Lots of metahuman haters across the Arrowverse. Oh, yes. Would the nullifying tech work on superpowered aliens like Kryptonians? I don't think so, because quite frankly, Kryptonian isn't a metahuman. They're an alien. I don't think it will work on Martian Manhunter. Technically, if we're going by comic lore, it wouldn't work on Dreamer since they are actually descendants of an alien race. It's people that have the meta gene. Kryptonians don't have a meta gene, so it wouldn't work on Superman. He just stand there like, what the hell? What the hell wrong with you? Also, the meta hate continues in the Flash. We're going to talk about that one in a second. To be fair, Jennifer Aniston make bad choices and is very in character. You're not wrong. I like when because they don't get along as well in the comics as they do in the Arrowverse. So you're right. He can improve them to do that. Tobias needs to start the next Legion of Doom. I'd be down for that. At the rate, I think only the mages of DC would be able to stand against Luthor. No, I mean, any alien would be able to. The nullifier only affects people with the metahuman gene. So any alien species, anybody living in National City could roll in there. Anybody living in Smallville that's a Kryptonian. If they had Kandor, anybody that has alien DNA would be absolutely fine against anybody in Freeland right now. Hi, Ito. Welcome. Tobias should get his spinoff. I'd watch it. So would I. I would love to see the kind of mess, because it's very refreshing to have something from a villain point of view, because then you get more backstory. You get to see all the stuff that made him as crazy as he is and as calculating as he is, and why he's so power hungry, which we already know a little bit, but it would be good to see something beyond just the cray or just the pure, drive to hurt, control, and be all powerful. So that it would be interesting. It would definitely be interesting. I hope the CW doesn't ruin the JJ plot with us ending with some ridiculous situation with 20 gens. That would be like a scientific railgun and be like, if you ever know anything about that anime with Misaka Mikoto and like her 10,000 clones. Yeah, we don't need to have any of that in this. Gamby should redo Alex's suit from Supergirl, or Brainy needs to take some notes. Yeah, Brainy is not living up to his name. Brainy should be Feely right now. He's in his feelings a lot. Alien works in metagenes. Yep. Just mutants and mutates. Yep. So the cop was in Tobias's pocket. Of course, everybody's in Tobias's pocket. That's why that chick had had Lynn stripping down. I think he owns half the precinct. He is the most powerful person in Freeland, and he's about to be elected as mayor. It's a mess. That makes sense. And Joker and Cruella movies have a villain centered. I have no desire to see the Cruella movie. I saw that they keep playing the damn trailer. I don't know what it is, guys. I have no desire to see this movie. I'm just being real. I have no desire to see it. Kudos if you do. That's fine. It's not. I don't care. But yeah, that's just me. So. We talked about Black Lightning. We can come back and revisit that. So now we got to talk about the Flash. Okay. So I like Frost for the most part. I'm not a Caitlin fan because Caitlin normally bores me, though I will say I felt pretty bad for her in this episode because she was losing. Caitlin loses everybody. Let's just be real. Everyone she dates either turns out to be, evil, or like, Ronnie died, and then Ronnie came back, and then blah, blah, blah. It's like she's always losing someone. And then she finally gets a sister who's split from her own body. And yeah, the events of this episode was highly messed up. So Kramer, first of all, what's so interesting about Kramer to me is that Kramer is not a villain. Kramer is somebody who was effed over by a meta. And her response to 20 people in her, platoon basically being massacred because of the decision that she made to trust a meta, created this hatred for criminal metahumans. But she took it to the extreme. So we already know that Frost decided to not pursue a trial. She didn't want to go through a trial. She admitted to her wrongdoing. So she thought maybe I get 18 months in prison and yada, yada. But no. And I already knew as soon as we saw Argus, I said, oh, hell, we already getting involved. As soon as I saw her go at the beginning of the episode, I saw Kramer walking through Argus. I'm like, she's got connections. So her beautiful patent that she wanted to make standard for all metahumans in Central City, potentially throughout their entire Arrowverse universe of Prime Earth is that if you are a metahuman that breaks the law, no matter what it is, instead of going to jail, your sentence is to take the metahuman cure, which is kind of messed up because that was the cure that was created by Caitlin and with help of Cisco and Star Labs. They literally gave the cure that was basically going to be used as the standard procedure for all law-breaking metahumans if Frost lost that trial. Oh man, I was like, that's some deep shit. And I would say the arguments they had when Frost was on the stand saying, we're different, you're persecuting us because we're different, but we're here, we're always going to be here. That stuff literally can basically be spread across race, religion, creed, sexuality, identity. So many arguments could have been made. I was like, oh, I'm already hearing the people that are crying agenda right now. Oh no, they put agenda in the Flash. My life is over. I can't watch the CW anymore. Like, that's all that I think whenever people like have stories like this that actually are very personal and very true to our society today, the message is lost on these people because they only hear, oh, it's woke. I'm like, Frost, you done effed up. you done effed up. You got them coming out of the woodworks now. So I'm waiting for it. I'm literally waiting. I don't look for reviews, but I know it's gonna be out there. Flash was woke again. But so I really did enjoy, because normally with Caitlin always seems one tone to me. Her acting is always one tone to me. So it was a little refreshing to see her, number one, going off on herself because Frost was like getting mad at her. Because technically speaking, I really think the reason that they were about to lose that case is because Caitlin made it worse. like they were doing such a good, compelling, moralistic, type argument for this judge, because Judge Tanaka was fair and she did not want to be the judge that's, her decision basically was a landmark decision that could cause all this really bad shit. So she was listening to both sides. She was doing it, fairly. She took time, not just jumping to conclusions. I mean, I really loved the judge they had in this. But had Caitlin and Cisco and Allegra not gone in and, basically use the, what was it called? I had to write it down because I always forget that there's so many names. The inertial oximeter to neutralize all of the metahuman cures that they had in the building, which, first of all, why do you have them all there? I'm like, why do you have them all there? Why is the court in the same building as the precinct? I don't understand the city's layout. But anyway, had they not done that, the judge probably would have ruled in their favor, and Killer Frost may have only served 18 months in prison, but they made it worse. And so now they thought Killer Frost did this, and this is more proof that she's bad and blah, blah, blah. So the judge had no choice, especially optically, because you can't not punish bad behavior. So she had no choice but to make the bad call. And I love the conversation between Frost and Caitlin when Caitlin says, I don't want to be alone. Because Caitlin doesn't want to be alone because Caitlin's alone. She is alone. She don't have anybody. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't, her mom doesn't seem to be that close to her all the time, at least on a level where they can just hang out. She's got Cisco, but Cisco's got a woman. So how when friends get women or men, are they in relationships? What happens with that. See at work. So yeah, Killer Frost, her sister, was pretty much the person she was closest to, and she didn't want to lose that, and it petrified her. And she even said that earlier in the season, it petrified her. And so her losing her, and Frost was just like, you made this worse. And she's like, really, you're not thinking about me, you're thinking about yourself. And I love that she did that. I love that she literally told Caitlin the truth about herself. This is about you, not me, and it should be about me. I'm comforting you. You should be comforting me. And Caitlin did make the right decision by telling her the one out that they had was by Frost saying, she would offer life imprisonment without parole, because that they said they wanted a way to keep a dangerous metahuman from ever being able to hurt anyone. And when she offered that, the judge was like, hold up. Because then when first when Cecile was like, isn't this what you said? And then the counsel was like, yeah, that's what we said. So Kramer's dream of starting that whole patent of taking metahuman abilities for the stupidest of crimes went out the window. And which is a good thing. But that means that Frost is in jail for life without parole, which we both know. All of us, we know. When I say both, you guys are the other both. All of us can agree. That's not going to fly. That's not even going to happen. Something's going to happen in the city. They're going to need all the humans the metas they can have, to save everybody in Central City. She's going to get pardoned, or Argus will get her out, or, something is going to happen and she's going to get out of jail. I don't for 1 minute believe that Frost is going to sit in jail for the rest of her life, because she is light years more interesting than Caitlin. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So yeah. So let's talk about the other part of this episode, because they only really had, for me, two main things going on. Nora has lost her damn mind, but we already knew that something was up with her. Again, we all know the Speed Force and the Still Force and the Strength Force. We all know they're all after the ultimate power. They're basically, it's a battle effing royale. It is a Hunger Games scenario between all of them, with the last one standing taking all the power, all the glory. That is what that is. And we saw little trinkets of it earlier in the season, but we definitely saw it in this episode. I love when she was like, when Nora was trying to convince Barry, because they meet this girl named Alexis Rivera, who basically is Forza. She's basically the Strength Force, and she doesn't know it though. She doesn't know she is, and they go, and Nora's like, well, literally being a bitch to this girl, and Barry's trying to do what he does. He's using his Care Bear powers. He was trying to use his Care Bear powers, which Nora should understand. She should know that Barry is a Care Bear in training to be a Star Sapphire. Just let Barry do his stuff. So eventually he will get that ring. And she just was like, no, you're supposed to be at my side, blah, 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 blah. So what we can do is we move at the speed of light. We can just go grab her, bring her back here, test her. And if she's just a regular human, we'll just apologize. I'm like, and we'll just take her back. Like nothing really happened, like a minute or a second of her life, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? And Iris was like, no, you're basically asking Barry to sacrifice everything he is as a hero. And the way Nora started looking at Iris was kind of intimidating. But Iris, the way Iris was looking at Nora, Iris looked like she about to smack the shit out of her. And that was the funniest. I wanted to freeze frame that moment. I'm like, this is when it got real. This is when it got real. So yeah. Barry basically was told it was his choice. Iris is like, it's your choice. You either listen to Cray Cray or listen to me. And Iris is the lightning rod. And so Barry goes and talks the girl into coming for testing. And yes, she is for us. She, no, without a doubt. Barry's doing his again, Care Bear power, saying, we're going to help you. We're going to figure this out. And Nora's like, psych. And she blasts her ass. And I'm like, what? And Iris was like, what did you do? And then she looks at Iris and said, you may be his lightning rod, but I'm the lightning. And then she goes to blast Iris. And of course, Barry jumps in front of her and throws lightning at the Speed Force, which is pointless. And so she gets basically she needed Barry's powers to combine with her to defeat Forza. So he just gave it to her because Barry doesn't think he could have just grabbed his wife and got out the effing way. Because that's why Nora threw it at her. Because she knew he was going to save her. Oh, Barry, why? Barry, why can't you think, man? You're supposed to be smarter than this. But then she takes that supercharged lightning and then she effing kills poor Alexis Rivera. I mean, she murdered her. And then told Barry, you need to pick a side. I was like, well, damn, oh, Lord. Guys. I was literally watching this and I was thinking, damn, why? Why? I don't understand. You're supposed to be the show that has the most, like, the abundance of nerdiness, the abundance of scientific knowledge, the abundance of strategic thinkers. Why you dumb? I'm like, why you dumb? I'm like, why? Guys, if you saw me watching this show with my spouse, River will attest to this. I scream at the TV all of the time. Before shit even happens, I'm like, what are you doing? No, don't you go down that road. I have threatened, cried, screamed. At this point, I just laugh because, I mean, what's the point? I mean, chick literally just effing told you she needed your powers to help her. And you're like, gotta save my wife. I could move at the speed of light and grab her and move her out of the way. Or I can give you what you want and throw lightning at it, at you, and combine it into your little magical lightning bubble and allow you to take out Forza. And now you just got 2 more to go. I mean, Flashpoint did not mess up the original Arrowverse universe. Mary Allen's logic messed up the Arrowverse universe. Flashpoint was just a conduit. I'm just telling you. So yeah, the Flash was interesting. It was very Frost Caitlin centric. The little scene where Caitlin's sitting on the floor holding the painting that Frost, designed, which was really cool, was sad. The whole situation with Nora is, I mean, even in the episode itself, you literally saw Barry looking at Nora with crazy eyes multiple times in the episode. He's just like, like, if you suspected her, what? How many times do people have to F you over, Barry, for you to listen to yourself? I mean, why do you wait to the last possible second to always make a move? I don't get it. But you know what? That's fine. The Flash. So let's see here. Watching Flash gave me a cocaine addiction. Thank you, CW. I have to get you in rehab. They're killing more characters in Flash than they are in Batwoman. That's weird. I mean, you're not wrong. And Barry needs to think more and throw lightning less. Somebody needs to wear that on a shirt. Cisco should wear it. And when he's about to do it, just be like, right here. Oh, wait, what the hell? Dang, on an 11-minute rant like me about Beast Morpher stupidity, letting women in the base center not believe in Keeper. I mean, logic in the Arrowverse? Surely you just, Maria. I know. Look, I have a dream. It's not as powerful as Martin Luther King Jr., but I had a dream that someday, one day, these CW plots would come together and make some semblance of sense. We can be different, but we can make sense. Okay, I'm sorry. It was a bad dream. My bad. I was so upset at the fact we meet the character this episode and by the end she's dead. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm telling you, she got to cry a few times, showing us that she could act. But I mean, I kept looking at her thinking, man, you would have been really cool as Spooner's sister in Legends. And I'm like, or why don't you be Jessica Cruz? Like, maybe Legends will pick you up because obviously you could act. Just pick her up. I'm like, you know what happened to that Alexis girl? It's all good. She's about to be a Green Lantern. I thought for us it was going to be a bigger part like she is in the comic. No, they'd get rid of characters incredibly they in the Arrowverse, no matter how big of a plot point or how significant they are in the story. They don't make it in the Arrowverse. They don't make it. They don't make it. I'm on side Iris, man. I'm telling you, if you DVR'd this, go back and watch the very first altercation between Iris and Nora when Iris was like, and Nora was looking at her like, bitch, did you just interrupt me? And Iris was like, the hell I did. I'm like, oh, bitch smack. I was waiting. that was some painkiller Ishmael shit right there. I was waiting for it. It was like Iris is about to be the first person in all of the comic history to snatch a knot in the Speed Force's ass. And once again, when Barry has had bad feelings about someone and Iris tells him to trust, it always goes wrong. I know. I do got to give Iris. Well, I mean, at least Iris her heart was in the right place. But you see, I look at it as her mother died from a disease before she got a chance to talk to her and realize why she really left. And, she has all that mommy issue shit. And then she knows that Barry's been hung up on his mother's death since they were kids. And so she felt maybe this was a chance of him finally getting to live out that kind of maternal, relationship with the Speed Force. I mean, we all knew it was crap, but you can't tell these characters that because, they got to learn repeatedly by almost dying and being defeated in every season. So, I mean, eventually in the series finale of the last episode in the last minute, they will learn. That's basically how that works. Sounds not too different from the real world, unfortunately. I don't know what Ray said. I knew the Speed Force would go dark. I mean, she wasn't hiding it. I can't even lie. I felt sad, and Caitlin doesn't have anyone. Honestly, I don't know what the writers are going to do with her character. I don't either. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that she's the only biomedical engineer, she would have no purpose whatsoever in the story. And it's interesting. And I do know that Iris being on comms probably annoyed a lot of people again, because, again, she's not sciencey, but I mean, she's had time to be trained a little bit to do some stuff. So, I'm just going to suspend my disbelief on that. They're taking her away from the Citizen a lot again. And it's actually kind of ticking me off because she runs it and she's a reporter and she needs to be up there with Lois Lane and technically Cat Grant in the Arrowverse, and they're not letting her be that way. And having Cat Grant be a powerful media mongol in Supergirl and taking Iris West and making her barely have an online paper is effing ridiculous, because in the comics, she'd already won a Pulitzer. She got a Pulitzer before Lois Lane got a Pulitzer in the comics. So... And a lot of people don't realize that not only was she a reporter, she was also a photojournalist. She took photos as well. So just saying, it is a little bit of a character assassination in terms of her success rate at this point, where she should be and where she is not. Just saying. I wonder how they can get Frost out. Obviously, somebody's going to make a deal for her to do something either dangerous. Argus may want her for some reason, because again, there's a reason they showed us Argus, and I don't think it was just to get another vial of the metahuman cure, or to create one, should I say. I think that there's a lot more going on. I think potentially Kramer saying, "I do respect you, Joe," and Joe making that kind of foreboding, statement saying, "Make sure you know which side of the line you're on," tells me that maybe something else is actually going on besides her trying to take out all the metahumans that she thinks are criminals because of her trauma. Maybe she's working with Argus for some other reason. I mean, there's a lot that could be going on with that. But I think with, as far as Frost is concerned, we do know that Frost gets out of jail through Suicide Squad. They put a bomb in her head. And that's a good way of getting her out of jail and introducing, Amanda Waller again into the Flash, by having her go out and do a mission with the Suicide Squad, or their version of the Suicide Squad. I know they can use some characters still, because they've had King Shark in the Flash. I mean, it's not impossible to have Slade and a bunch of other people come in, or even other members that were not Suicide Squad. CW can have or Arrowverse can have their own version of the Suicide Squad. But it'd be a really good way of bringing Amanda Waller in to get her out of jail in a Suicide Squad capacity, which I'm here for. Will they do that? I don't know. But I mean, this is a really good way of introducing them. Like I said, they always open the door for things that could be very close to comic accurate, and they don't fulfill it. And I don't know why, but whatever. And in what world is a meta mercenary get 18 months, and meanwhile Lynn getting like Guantanamo Bay charges? The fuck? Because she black. What the Ray? See this look I'm giving you right now? You already know why. You can't get pastier pale than Killer Frost. You already know. What's effing messed up is the fact that another minority did that to her. That's what's really messed up. Only you can tell yourself the truth about yourself. You're not wrong. Of course, Team Flash makes things worse by accident. Yeah. Caitlin was a better meta on Sky High. Yeah, I really like Sky High. Now having her grow plants and stuff and having like jungle weeds flying everywhere, that could be challenging. But at least she would have a boyfriend who had kind of Supermanish powers. So yeah, I could see that playing in her favor. For real, the big outs complaining about wokeness are the most oversensitive people on the planet. The reason they complain about it so much is because they don't go through anything. It was like, so it's, why are you saying this? It ain't real life. It's like Timmy, in the car biting his brother's finger. They don't know. They don't know. Till something happens to them, it's not valid. That's how I've learned. That's what I've learned about this world. So it's messed up. Let's see here. Cool. I imagine that people literally weaponize and scrub our differences away. That would be cool. Someone else portrays Barry. Must be Tuesday. I see what you did there, mercenary. It's always Tuesday. Barry just. Maybe I should change the stream to Arrowverse and Barry Betrayal Tuesday streams. X-Men storyline revisited. For being Killer Frost, having WP must be nice. I think that reinventing Killer Frost as Frost for the Arrowverse isn't a bad thing. Because again, this is definitely an alternate version of the comic version. So we know that this is not the Frost we know in the comics. But for the character herself, she still has that edge and that attitude. So I don't have a problem with that. She's just, to me, more interesting than Caitlin. Like, if Caitlin was no longer a character, I wouldn't miss her. If they replaced her with Killer Frost or with Frost, I'd be fine with that. I actually enjoyed when they did that in the show. Caitlin just bores the hell out of me. She just does. I don't know what it is, but she's just boring to me. She's either saving somebody's life or taking somebody's blood or trying to figure out somebody's brain chemistry. And it's like, okay, but what else do you do? It's just, I don't know. It's a thing. Okay, let me scroll. Even Flash in the comics isn't being handled well. Characters don't learn in Flash comics either. You're not wrong. Although I do prefer Wally to Barry. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Is the Speed Force infected by the negative Speed Force? Possibly. Either way, though, Nora is effing crazy. She is just crazy. If Cam and Mia related Samurai 3 Mel Pink Samurai Rangers exist, Grandpa Cam and Terry. Oh, you're still writing your fanfic. Okay. Of course, Neri learned the hard way is also a canon. Barry learning anything the hard way is canon. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Iris had best facial expressions and stuff. I can't stop laughing at her reactions towards this people. I'm telling you, she had this look like, bitch, you forgot who I am. She said, I'm the first lady of this show. She's like, not only am I the lightning rod, I also have main character insurance that you need to recognize. So it was hilarious. It really looked like Candace Patton is a very good actress, and she portrayed wanting to beat somebody down just through her eyes so perfectly that I didn't want to fuck with Iris. I was like, this woman is the freaking Speed Force. And Iris looked at her like, and I was like, well, I have the same feelings with Barry. Not really too much faith in him now that he's the lead in there. But and I heard that they might be trying to get Grant Gustin to sign a very big contract, which I'm assuming is going to make it the Flashverse. I don't know. But what I do know is that if he is the leader and what everyone's aspiring to be, we're effed. We are effed. I hate to be this way, but you got a whole ass Superman and Lois show with Kal-El, your golden boy, throwing all this money behind him. Why are you doing the Flash? Even though I understand that he was the second Arrowverse show that you brought over technically. I don't get it. But you know what? Whatever. I don't understand it. Iris, okay, I think I already read that one. Oliver, you made a mistake giving the Arrowverse over to Perry. Don't say that, Maria. They'll give us another crisis. Oh, see, Jedi, you were under the assumption that we ever left crisis in the Arrowverse. We've been in crisis the whole damn time. And I don't mean crisis on Earth. I mean crisis of the Arrowverse. The entire time. Don't forget to thumbs up the stream. Thank you. I'm gonna leave that up for a second so people know. Thumbs up. Let's see. I'm doing a few more questions. I'm gonna jump into Supergirl. And Barry needs to think more and throw a light. And I think I already did that one, which is still a very, very good comment. I want that on a shirt, a hat. He should have this as an alert on his phone. Barry needs to have sticky notes that literally say, think more, throw less, or something like that. Because something wrong with you. There's something wrong. I mean, this is like Anissa logic, not jumping from in front of that damn car. What is wrong with you? I don't understand. Grab your wife and run her out of the way. Don't throw lightning at... No. No. Nope. Oliver should have left Kara in charge. He would have, but then when Kara's show ends, then nobody's in charge, which could be a good thing, I guess. I think Pat should be in charge. It's Stargirl. There we go. See, in the audio world, Flashverse is a term that should not cause concern. CW has traumatized us. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Did you hear about how the actors playing Harry and Cisco are leaving in season 8? I did not. Wow. Well, it seems like everybody's leaving. Rory's leaving Legends this season. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I guess I could see them being burned out, though. I mean, it's grueling spending 9 months a year away from your family and friends, shooting 14 to 16 hour days. I can see that being a problem. I really can. So I get it. Maria, I feel like you're Iris PR agent. I'm not. I mean, I feel bad for the actress because how she's treated. And I feel sorry for the character because for me, I don't feel like they would do this to Lois Lane. They didn't do this to Felicity, and Felicity was a D character. She's not even a BC character, like a B or a C grade character. She is a D character. That character was nothing in the damn comics. And they made her like the most brilliant and most important character in all the Arrowverse for a very long time. So like you have somebody in the comics who is an established character who was very instrumental to Barry's life and to a lot of different plots. And even though she died and then of course came back and she was actually from the future, blah, blah, blah. She was very instrumental to a lot of different characters, her nephew, her grandson, her husband, and they make her like they dumb her down. Like they do a lot of characters, like what they did with Mr. Terrific. They dumb these important characters down and made them these supportive characters that it seems like their only role in the Arrowverse is to give motivational damn speeches. I don't know what it is, but it's like, it's weird. So I feel bad for Iris. I mean, they built up Killer Frost more than they did Iris, and Killer Frost has always been a DC villain and was never Team Flash. She wasn't Team anybody. She was only in, I think, a couple of issues in the Justice League working with them for her own benefit. It wasn't because she was an anti-hero or a hero. It was because they needed her and she needed something out of it. So, I mean, she was not a character that was a hero that was self-sacrificing, blah, blah, blah. So they build these other characters up that were never any of these things. And then the one character that should be her own character and not dependent on her man and how her man's doing. And her man is stupid. And I mean, she is smart and intelligent in the comics. Not saying that Iris is not smart and basically adaptive and all of these things in the Arrowverse, but they don't let her be. And that is a problem. And I just think it's stupid. They would never effing do this to Lois Lane. You look at Superman and Lois and tell me if they would do that to Lois, would they do the Iris and the Flash? You show me where they do that shit, and I will stop saying, I will stop being on the Iris bandwagon. But until that time, it is what it is. It's just truth. I'm gonna say the truth because that's what it is. It's all truth. They character assassinated Iris. They character assassinated Lynn on Black Lightning. Just saying. I don't know what to say about these women of color, minorities being character assassinated in the Arrowverse, but it happens a little too much for my taste, and they need to stop. So, yep, it's confirmed that Carlos and Tom are leaving this season, unfortunately, which sucks. The only OGs left are Caitlin, Barry, and Iris. That's so stupid. Well, they want to do other things, I guess. Wait, they promoted Felicity to a D-list character in the comics. I must have missed that issue. No, so Felicity's character was a Batman. She wasn't even a minor character. She was like in a few issues. She was married to somebody that was of no consequence either. And they took this tiny bit role. If this was a movie, it was a cameo bit part with a few lines, and they made a whole ass character out of it, and then made her Oliver's soulmate when everybody knows that was Dinah. And everybody knows that him and Black Canary were endgame. And it's just what the CW does. And then they take an actual character like Iris West, who is, again, completely, I mean, yes, Barry had Fiona and a few others, but, Patty, Fiona, a bunch of others. But Iris was always his soulmate in his end game. He always goes back to Iris in the end. And so it's just really weird to me, just what they did to her character. I don't like it. I have to agree. Historical Vixen was a bit selfish to me in Legends. I feel that an accurate portrayal of Vixen would have made better choices. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. They don't do them right. It's really strange. It's just very strange to me. So, all right. So we need to talk about Supergirl. Because, oh God, Brainy. First of all, guys, I effing love Brainy. Brainy is in his feelings. He eats donuts. I don't know. I feel like even in this episode, him singing 9 to 5 because Nia taught him in the last episode that was like her motivation. That was fucking hilarious to me. I'm sorry. Brainy made me laugh so much in this episode with his paranoia about everybody. You don't meet yourself. We can't do this. Oh, world's in the timeline. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, so funny. I'm sorry. It was funny to me. All right. So we left off in the last episode. Basically, we know that Kara and Kenny were getting ready to go to prom. They still need to get her DNA. Kat Grant, or right now she's CJ Grant, is on a mission to beat Lois Lane and basically stop writing for the advice. Or actually, I'm sorry, she is writing for the gossip column, which is very, to me, it kind of was an homage to Lois and Clark, the TV series, because the Kat Grant also in that version wrote for the romance column and always wanted to be a reporter. So I thought that was really interesting that they kept that in. And then we had, her. So first of all, I have a little bit of like continuity nitpicks, but first I'm going to grab my water of truth because we need to hear this with water of truth. So give me a second. Water of truth must be had, okay? So, this is supposed to be 2009, right? So let me just go down the list here. Diamante's Bulletproof was playing at their prom. That song came out in 2018. No. No continuity experts. That is not a prom song that they would have been playing at Kara's prom in 2009 because it is 9 years too early. Just saying. Number 2. Every time Kenny says anything, I keep thinking he's going to morph into Ninja Steel Blue. I can't help it. It's just what I think and how I feel. Number 3. Now, this is just me as a film student. And then I had to go check a source because I was very confused by this, okay? So let me just break this down. Film drones and access to personal drones did not become officially legal until around 2013, 2014. How in the hell did Kat Grant have a freaking remote control drone in 2009? Very confusing to me. They did get the Lady Gaga song right. She said Lady Gaga poker face in this episode, and that actually was in 2009. So I was pretty impressed with that. And then if I have to talk about a nitpick in this episode, so, Kat's trying to get the story, and, she had the drone and she figured all this stuff out. And she started throwing a rock around the area that she believed the light or the ship or whatever would have been in. It took 2 rocks to take down this cloaking, shield on this ship. That ship has to have the shittiest cloaking the fucking device on the planet. If 2 effing rocks takes the whole cloaking device out. I'm sorry. There you go, Ray. I had to do it. Yeah, the reason the drone made me laugh so much is I am one of the people that emails CinemaSins about the Ninja Turtle movie about having Bluetooth on a camera that would not have existed in the time period that they were showing. Whenever they do this stuff, the continuity errors and timing, I have to make fun of it because there's no way on the planet that woman had a drone. You could not get a drone to shoot legally anything film-wise specifically until around 2014. There's no way that was legal. And I doubt that Perry gave her a drone in 2009 when she was supposed to be writing and doing fluff pieces for the Daily Planet. So I called BS on the remote control drone because I understood they need to have that for plot purposes, but that was stupid. And if we're going to talk about messing up the timeline, okay? So I love that they incorporated Dreamer in this episode of having this dream about this pink cat or, the jaguar, whatever. That actually was Cat Grant, and that the cage is basically Cat being. The symbolism is Cat was being held in a cage by PW, which was Perry White. He was stifling her, imprisoning her from her goals, her dreams, and what she was meant to be, which is the future Cat Grant, media Mongol queen. Blah blah blah. That's awesome. I love the fact that Dreamer is now able to take stuff out of her dreams and use it as weapons and throw it at people. That's awesome. But is it not true that if they're not trying to interfere with the past, that technically when Nia as Brenda, because they were Brendan and Brenda from, I'm assuming they're using 90210 aliases, that when she was pretending to be Brenda and she was talking to Kat saying, you're bad, you're a badass, you're going to be, that's great, you're even friends with Oprah. She already kind of messed up by saying that. And she's like, oh, in the future. But then she says, she basically inspires her to become Cat Grant because she calls her Cat Grant. She's like, oh, I usually go by CJ because that's what Perry used to call me, but I like Cat Grant. And then she inspires her she's like, you don't need to work for the Daily Planet. You need to go out and make your own media empire. So it's essentially, wasn't Nia the reason that Cat Grant got the idea to do all this in the first place and to quit the Daily Planet? And in such, doesn't that mean she altered the timeline by doing that? Because what was the original inspiration? I would love to go back to season 1 or 2 with the older Cat Grant, where she talks about why she actually started her own media, company and became who she was. Because I know there was something similar of her being tired of working for the Daily Planet and competing with Lois Lane and being disrespected by Perry. But I think there was still a lot more to that. But now Nia's the reason that she started getting inspired. But did that not alter the timeline and alter her? It seems like just the tiniest things that you do have a huge impacts on what happens in the future. So you've essentially gone back and set Kat on this journey that she may not have been ready to go on for another 2 or 3 years, like timing wise. We knew she was going to do it, but now Nia is the reason she even got the idea to quit and got the idea to be Cat Grant and Catco and all of that. So I don't know. It's just really weird to me. It's just really, 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 I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, guys. It is uncanny to me how younger Kara and younger Alex look so effing similar to their older counterparts. Because Melissa and I always forget Alex's actress's name. I want to call her Chandler, whatever. I know it starts with a C. You know what I'm talking about. But the actresses that play Alex and Melissa and Kara look so, even the mannerisms. And to be honest, even Cat Grant's younger version, they did a really, really good job casting them. If they were to do a spinoff series with the younger versions, to me, they look like they were grow up to be these two characters. And that is really hard to do in a superhero serial to have that many actors that look like they could be the younger versions of the older counterparts believably is very hard to do. So I'm not hating on that. It actually made me want to go look them up to see if they were actually cousins or related in some way, because they do look and act very similar. So I was very happy about that. The whole prom dance scene with Brainy and with Nia was absolutely adorable. I love Nia, and her dress was very, very cute. Next, I don't know what it is, but they just kind of bored me. I like that Kenny, was being self-sacrificing and allowed himself to be caught. So, Kara wouldn't. He was trying to protect her by pretending to be the Kryptonian, and seeing Kara have her first interaction with Kryptonite was very interesting. The scene with Alex and Alex talking about her responsibility about being her older sister and always having to clean her messes up, and then going off to college and realizing she could have a life of her own. We saw that conversation happen, I believe, in season 2 between them. So that was believable and relatable. So I had no problem with that. Like, there's just so much about this episode for me personally that flowed very well. It just, besides them getting the rock and the DNA, it really didn't pertain to the Phantom Zone and what else was happening. It was basically Groundhog Day. It was just basically a prom version of Groundhog Day. That's literally what we watched. So it wasn't a bad episode. I enjoyed it. It just, for me, it wasn't that plot driven, I guess, is what I'm saying. It just made me have a lot of questions. So, the whole thing with Naxum and his alien partner was just like, whatever. They weren't even, they joked around with each other so much, and so many stupid things happened with them. It didn't even seem, for me, it didn't even seem like they were that much of a threat. So, I mean, Gary and his fiance and Legends were more of a threat than these two jokers were, as far as I'm concerned. So it just, for me, I kind of just felt like this was more a Kara, Alex, Kara, Kenny and Kara finally telling Kenny that she wants to go to National University, and him saying, I want to be able to save myself. So it's all relationship stuff. And it's cool. That is cool. I mean, again, this is the last, season of the series. So I guess we need to have all this. But it wasn't like Black Lightning, where we're like, okay, this is plot driven. All this stuff is leading to the end. This was just like a filler episode. This was an anime. This was a filler. And this was Groundhog Day with a little Back to the Future stuff tied in. And Brainy kissing Nia and then crying and saying, I've always had all these negative thoughts, and then I forgot what it was like to have positive thoughts. Like, all of that to me was cute. And that, if you were going to ask me to describe this episode, I would just say it was cute. It was a cute episode, but it just made me ask questions. Like, for me, again, the drone is completely out of place. The Bulletproof song is from 2018. It just is. Cat Grant and Catco and her becoming Cat Grant and using that alias seems to all be inspired by Nia, which is interesting, because now it makes you wonder, was it always Nia, or was it now Nia, and now something changed because she did that? And when we learn that later, because she went back and had this conversation with Cat, which seems so inconsequential, but in reality changed a lot of stuff in the future, and they don't realize it yet. It's just so many things. It's so many things that I had questions about. But again, I love Brainy still singing that 9 to 5. Nia should have never taught him that song. He was like, 9 to 5. Like, he is literally trying. He is trying. He is trying. And she's like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that right now. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I thought or felt about this show in a nutshell. Let's see. King Shark is a good ex to have, but I have questions, John. Next week, fear-based episode, recycling plots again. Now, I think next week, aren't they going to go into the Phantom Zone to try to save them? Maybe I'm thinking something else. No, I think they are. Aren't they going in the Phantom Zone to try and... But then they're going to die if they go into the Phantom Zone to get them? I don't know. It's just really weird. Gary is a character I'd love to forget. I like Gary. Gary's an idiot. I like Gary a lot. Gary is he's like that character that never got to go to the party. And now he finally got invited to the party, and he doesn't know how to act because he's socially awkward, but he's still a little adorable. So you just let him stay. That's literally how Gary is. Can we get the question in the Arrowverse? Yes, he had a Batman figure it out. Well, would you want the original question or Renee Montoya's question? That would be cool. I would love to have Renee come in because then she would have a good reason to be in Batwoman. Well, no, she wouldn't because she dated Kate Kane and Kate. Well, I mean, it's like keep Kate Kane and her and Sophie like don't work out. Then I guess we could get Renee in there. I don't know. To be fair, though, if we're going to be real about all of this stuff, Maggie Sawyer actually is the one that almost marries and was with Kate Kane for a very long time. And they had her with Alex in Supergirl, which never happened. So I don't know. Yes, that actress was really hitting the nail on the head. Actors that look alike remind me of Kiernan Shipka and McKenna Grace. There are so many really good castings that they do, which shocks me, because the original little girl we saw for Kara in the beginning of Supergirl didn't really favor her a lot. But when they cast this girl, I mean, I literally could see her grow up and look just like, as a matter of fact, she looks like Melissa did on Glee. So it's really weird. It's very, very weird. I feel like Cecile is part of the stage force because the way her pathogenic energy signature looked identical to Psyche, but was different in color. I can see that. Do you get the feeling that they're conflating Nia's powers with Beautiful Dreamers from the Forever People? It does seem that way because I know in the comics I don't remember Nia ever having that. I really don't. Even with Legion, I don't remember her being able to pull stuff out of visions and then throwing it at people. I just don't remember that. Didn't Kat have a giant pink cat in seasons 1 and 2? I thought so. I thought that became her logo or inspiration for her logo. I'm pretty sure. I have to go back and look. It's been a minute. I have to go back and look at that. Pink Panther has made their live action debut. Yeah. Also, why did they not check the timeline with Gideon? Because Arrowverse. Kat had a drone because of CW plot. Yeah. Based on some of the writing choices, I'm guessing this episode was written by boomers guessing what life was like for teenagers in 2009. I mean, they were. I graduated from high school in 2005, and I'm telling you, none of that stuff was relevant. No, I didn't. I graduated in 1995. I'm old. Why am I saying 2005? See, this is what happens, guys. Sleep. It does wonders. Oh, Kara felt better so quickly after hitting the meter. Also, how the moon healed Kara gets her power and healing ability from the sun. Well, I can kind of see that because technically the sun doesn't go away just because we don't see it. She's like a battery. It just needs to be orbiting and she should be able to pull from the sun. But it kind of did make it seem like she was Sailor Moon for a minute. So I will give you that. It did. She's like, I got the Jinzushia or silver crystal inside my body, and we're just going to recharge this stuff real fast. And now I am Sailor Supermoon or Super Sailor Moon. Cinema sins commence. I mean, I do it a lot. As soon as I watch a movie and I see something stupid, I'll email Cinema Sins and say, did you see this? They literally use time travel to solve their problems. Not legends. Do you see this? This is how it's done. Yep. Nia and Brainy's cover story will crack me up. I'm telling you, Brendan and Brenda is definitely they were the twins in 90210, which I didn't like it, but I wasn't a 90210 fan. But I respect the fact that show was on and a lot of people had a lot of notoriety and got famous. And if we didn't have Ian Zierling, I think that was his name, in 90210, we would have never gotten classical music or movies like Sharknado. I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie, though. I have seen every Sharknado because they're just effing hilarious. I can't help it. I cannot help myself. I can't. Oh, Ray, thank you. Get that thing, huh? That's what you're trying to tell me to do tonight. I'm like, PG-13. Kat still couldn't pronounce Kara's name right. I know. Well, she couldn't pronounce anybody's name. She was calling Kenny Kendall. So that makes sense. But yeah, that was actually a thing. Sailor Moon versus Supergirl, who would win? Okay, so depends. Because I don't think Sailor Moon has the ability to actually stay dead. That'll be my only problem. Because see, if Sailor Moon were to die, then Sailor Saturn would come in and silence Glaive everything. And everything would be gone and reborn. So essentially, Serenity would be reborn over and 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 over again. Therefore, it wouldn't matter if Supergirl used her heat ray vision to headshot her. She would still come back. I mean, it's just what it is. Because Serenity is actually COVID. Like, she's the disease that keeps, or the virus that keeps coming back and different strands. But if you're talking about an actual fight, like who would win as not death and destruction and just her fighting, yeah, I mean, Asagi would have her ass whooped. I mean, that's basically how it would be. Supergirl would punch her one time and break most of the bones in her body. But on a power level, it's hard but to be fair, Supergirl did die in Crisis in the comics, but we know how comic books are. They keep coming back like baby's kids too. So, I mean, really, they would just kill each other and just keep coming back to keep fighting each other again and again and again and again and again. And then Sailor Moon could do a Stellar Stars thing where for some reason she has no clothes on and wings and she fights against Supergirl and convinces her with her Care Bear powers in the Silver Crystal to be her friend. So there you go. I'm like, that's my answer, right? That is my answer. Sharknado is so funny. I die laughing every time. It's not Sharknado and B-rated like sci-fi, like bad CG movies are kind of like my guilty pleasure because they crack me the hell up. Like, I cannot stop laughing at some of the CG and like the people screaming and like the little sea creature comes out and it's like delayed and it's so hilarious. And Sharknado cracks me up because they got so many celebrities to be in it. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's just amazing. The moon crystal would annihilate a Kryptonian. I agree. Now, we weren't talking about the crystal. We're talking about Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon has to hold on to the crystal. So that's always been the problem with Sailor Moon. Even if she got the moon chalice, she has to hold on to the moon chalice. Like, she's not like, some of the other Senshi that, they don't actually have to physically hold on to, something to use their ability. Sailor Moon's always had a rod. She's always had the brooch with the crystal. If you take the crystal from her, she can't use it. Supergirl can literally travel at the speed of light. She could literally take Sailor Moon into the sun and she'd explode. The problem is she would die, but she'd just be reborn because that's just what happens in Sailor Moon. The manga is very graphic, and the manga, in Stars itself, they were ripping the Senshi apart to get their silver crystal. It wasn't like, in the anime for Stars where they're like, oh, they got hit and then you saw their sailor, like the crystals came out of their bodies. No, they were literally ripped in half. It's very gory and it's very graphic in the manga. So, and I'm saying that, I'm prefacing that because they still came back. Like, no matter what you do to them, they still come back. They come back. So yeah, it's a repetitive thing. Like, they're not going to die. So yeah. Had no idea Sailor Moon's manga was graphic. Oh, it's very graphic and very dark. Sailor V's story to me is very dark too, but in the manga. So Sharknado is a favorite guilty pleasure watch for me. I effing love watching Sharknado. It just cracks me up so much. I can't help it. I cannot help it. Yeah, but it stated that Kara absorbs energy from the sun more efficiently than her cousin, and I guess young Kara could learn to absorb sunlight from weaker sources of solar energy. Yeah, like a solar panel. It makes perfect sense. But I get it. If you look at the composition shot, it looks like she's getting it from the moon. That is absolutely true. I agree with that 100%. It looked like she is Sailor. She's Super Sailor Moon. But we've already seen the continuity errors throughout this entire episode, so. And I still can't get around the fact that Kat threw 2 rocks at that ship and the whole cloaking device was just like so weak. It just went out. It's like, really? Just like if I had a nitpick about Legends, and I love Legends of Tomorrow. It's on crack. And I didn't talk about this yesterday. So I'm just doing this for continuity so I can nitpick another show. So everyone knows I'm a fair reviewer and nitpicker. when Sarah was fighting Gary's fiance, that we learned the alien chick was the fiance. How did Sarah know how to use everything on the panels to open up the airlock, to close the airlock, know how to release? How did she know how to work anything on that panel? She doesn't speak the language. They're in alien symbols. How did she know how to do it? Just saying. Just throwing that out there. I would like to see Gary as a member of the Bureau of Normalcy and Doom Patrol. It would be hilarious to see Crazy Jane cuss out Gary. It would be hilarious to see Gary take those glasses off. But I said this in my stream yesterday. If Gary was that alien the entire damn time, all those predicaments he was in where we thought he was going to die, all he ever had to do was take off his effing glasses and get those tentacles to come out and then eat the people. Like, I don't understand why that wasn't a thing. When Charlie and her sister, when Charlie's sisters were literally in last season with the fate or the Loom of Fate, when they had him on the table, all he had to do was shake those glasses off, and then all his extra little tentacles would have come out, and he could have ate both of the sisters, and literally the story would have been over. Like, nothing would have happened. It just would have been over. So I don't understand. I don't understand why he didn't have that. But you know what? Suspend my disbelief again. I want to know how Crisis affected them. But again, I already told you what I thought was happening with them. So, yeah. So let's see. I feel like the next episode of Black Lightning will be Jennifer centric because they showed the true Jenna as the sentient lightning she was born as, like she was in the comics. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think that's what they're doing. I really do. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, I just, there's a reason we saw the particles. So if that's the route they're going, I'm cool with that. I really want them to establish Tobias in Intergang, because then that gives him a reason to be on a lot of different shows, not just Painkiller potentially. So I'm completely okay with that. I don't know. I really feel like there's so much potential, and it's sad that we only have 3 episodes left to see it. So I want to know what's going to happen with all of these characters once, the show ends, because it's ending. We have 3 episodes left. It's so sad to even think about. The overall thing is they need to be a better family and better in relationships, because man, like the marriages are suffering. Both sets of marriages are dysfunctional. And it's sad. And I feel bad for Grace, because Grace can't even make a comment that her wife doesn't like. And she's like, oh. I'm like, woman, I'm like, I could not marry Arrowverse's Anissa. She's pretty, but I could not marry her because she pissed me off like every day. So I'm like, I can't even talk to you. I'm like, there's no point being in this marriage. I'm like, you suck. You need to learn communication skills. Who would you like to see as the co-bosses of Intergang with Whale? Ooh, in the Arrowverse? Do we have any good villains? Because Lex, I know Lex canon-wise is an Intergang in the comics. So I guess seeing him. So I would probably take a villain from every show. So I would take Lex Luthor. Oh, but which Lex would I do? No, I would take Lex Luthor from Supergirl, because it seems like the Lex in Superman and Lois is an alternate reality version who actually probably isn't that bad of a guy. Captain Luthor is not that bad of a guy. So I would take Lex, and then I would probably use the Shade or one of the other. I think I would do the Shade from Stargirl. Black Mass for sure. I would like Sophia to be an Intergang, because even though I know that she has a different set of morals, which are kind of crazy, and most of the things that she was doing was to protect the Desert Rose, I would love to have Sophia as a more prominent character like she is in the comics, because she has a good potential to be pretty damn evil. Let's see. Trying to see other ones. There's so many. There's so many. Like, they haven't incorporated a lot of villains that I think would be very beneficial into the Arrowverse, but there are a lot of villains that I think could work. Like, honestly, if I had to pull other people from the Arrowverse, I probably would use, because you don't want to have everybody that's in power. How interesting would it be to have Eobard Thawne on the same team as Lex Luthor and Tobias Well? That would be so effing messed up. That would be so messed up. I mean, it would be messed up. Yeah, there's a lot. That's a good question. That is a really good question. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that. But yeah, I definitely want Sophia, not Alice, unless it's Red Alice. I wouldn't mind Red Alice's version of Cray being in there, but the Alice we have now that seems to be on the verge of a redemption, I don't think would work very well. But a true Red Alice would be cool in the Inner Gang. But I don't remember there being a ton of women in the Inner Gang to begin with. So, is that Railgun in the background? Yes, it is. I love Railgun. So you see Misaka and Kuroko behind me. I love Magical Index. I love it all. I've been reading the manga for years. I love Toromo. Shiva. See, I didn't say it, Lady Shiva. Drinking game, Ray. Drinking game. Okay, what is this? You can also choose villains from the comics that the Arrowverse hasn't used yet. Yeah, I mean, there are tons that I think would be really good. I can't think of his effing name. Oh, there is a villain that, so if you know the story of Ice and Ice Maiden and how I think Ice Maiden replaced Ice, and like there's a villain that, I don't know if it was his wife or his sister, had an obsession with being youthful. So they took Ice Maiden, I'm pretty sure it was Ice Maiden, they put her to sleep, and then he skinned her alive and took her, because he wanted to have it fresh, and put it on this either his wife, his sister, or client, whatever. And he was like human trafficking. And I thought, that is so messed up. But at the same time, to have somebody that evil and crazy would serve that portion of Inner Gang. I think that I just cannot remember his effing name. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. But I really need to figure out what his name is, because I really think he would have been really cool. No, I want people in it that aren't the norm characters we normally see. I think that there have a lot of powerful villains that were so effing crazy that they didn't last long, and they were either killed off or sealed off somewhere. But I don't know. I just think that would have been cool. I don't want to take anybody from the Suicide Squad, but there are a lot of villains. I mean, that's a very interesting question. I'm gonna have to think on that, because I don't want to clip someone either. I really want villains that I think would be very, like, I don't want anyone from the Royal Flush Gang, because again, they have their own. I don't want anyone from an established gang. So it has to be people that are villains, but like side villains. So yeah, is it Deadly Winter? It might be Deadly Winter. All I know is it messed me up. I even own that comic. I have like clear boxes of comics back there. But I remember reading that and thinking, that is effed up. Oh my gosh, effed up. That entire situation was effed up. So yeah, I'm reading the Comic Vines profile of Ice Maiden. It could have been, yeah. Like, I've always loved how close Ice and Fire are. To the point where they almost had, to me, a lesbian relationship. They definitely acted more than friends in the comics. But Ice Maiden replaced her and like was building a good rapport with the rest of the team. And then that happened. It was so messed up. Like, it was messed up. Like, her entire skin. He took all of her skin, put her to sleep, and just skinned her alive, and then put it on this woman. And I'm like, that is so messed up. They say she was flayed, but yep, it probably was Deadly Blood. If they're saying she was flayed by someone and they're saying it was Deadly Winter, then that is exactly who I'm talking about. I would like to see Felix Foss as an Inner Gang boss. I think Felix would be cool, using his network in hell to get occult weapons to Inner Gang. I think Foss, Luther, Shiva. I don't want Shiva in Inner Gang. and well would have an interesting dynamic. Shiv I would put in there, but not Shiva. Put Shiv in there, but not Shiva. Shiva is by herself. If we're talking about my lady Shiva has to work alone. I'm sorry. Can't have Shiva. But you can have Shiv. No problem with Shiv being a villain or being in their gang. She's freaking crazy enough and ambitious enough that would make sense. This Allison Foss and Asher would be best friends. Yeah. Yeah, I'm giving the Gary thing a pass because I refuse to think more on it. And the writers on the show clearly did not. Yeah. I feel like if Gary ate Arrowverse, she would have probably cut him open from the inside. That's fair. That is fair. Sorry, missed the Supergirl portion. I had to weatherproof the porch to keep my dogs dry. Hey, I'm a dog parent. I understand. Crisis changed Gary, or the writer decided to make the change. See, the thing about Legends of Tomorrow is the fact that they really can do whatever they want. Because, again, some of the characters are canon, some of them are made up, but Legends as a whole is a made-up concept. So when you have a DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy that have no comic backup and nothing that really, they're not modeling off of a storyline, you can do whatever the hell you want. And that is the beauty of it, because they can mess up the timeline. They can unmess the timeline. Other series can do something stupid and they can fix it. There's so much you can continuously do with Legends, which was what makes it hilarious. The only problem I've ever had with Legends is you get attached to some characters and they rotate them out. And it's like, oh, because I really like Charlie. And I understand the actress was doing another TV show. I think she plays a doctor on another show. So I was like, going back and forth between Vancouver and where they filmed that show was probably very taxing. I get it. But because we don't have Charlie anymore, they're introducing more characters, and it's just like, well, we have Spooner now. How long are we going to have, Spooner? How long are we going to have Astra? How long are we going to, how long are we going to have the 2 Zaris or the 1 Zari? We don't know who's next to leave. We know Rory is going to be doing cameos, but he's going out. Ray and Nora being gone is so sad to me, because I really love, especially Ray. I really love Ray's character, and that's sad. So like they keep rotating them out. So you get attached and then you don't know how long they're going to be there. So that is literally the only problem I have with it. But outside of that, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want. Like you said, Ava is about as crazy as they can get. And I love her. And yeah, and she's a clone. And I love it. I love that she's a clone and she's accepted that she's a clone. And just the whole thing. And I love the remarks they make. Like, they'll make little smart comments about stuff that should be very traumatizing. And it's like really silly. And like, I don't know, it's just something about it. I really think it's interesting. But Gary has probably gone through a lot of metamorphoses, but I think a lot of stuff did with Crisis, except for Black Lightning. I still feel like I cannot find where Black Lightning was altered by Crisis in any way. I just can't. So yeah, at least Legends of Tomorrow didn't bring Hot Girl back. Yeah, that was such a short-lived thing too. Like they were like, oh, we're in the Flash. And now they're like, oh, we're in Legends of Tomorrow. And then we're like, oh, now we're together and we don't need you guys anymore. I mean, the whole thing with Cisco and her was interesting as a whole too, because, Cisco having a thing for a hot girl, knowing that was not going to work out, was always interesting to me. So, but they had to introduce her into the continuity somehow. So, it is what it is. I love how smart and organized she is. She runs them super different than Sarah. Yeah, you should check out my other stream. I actually pointed out just how cool she was, knowing exactly what everybody was going to do and say, and she was checking them off in order. That's how I freaking love Ava. Hot girl drove me nuts. Yeah, I could see that. To make sure I get everybody. Crazy Jane and Killer Frost and their multiple personalities would have a blast together, then sit them on with Two-Face. Now that's a party. Yeah, that would be a thing. I would love to see how they would portray Painkiller now. That Painkiller. Why did her name just? No, it might be Painkiller. No, it's not. What is her name? The new Joker's assistant. that I've been saying her name like this entire time, and for some reason just went right out of my head. Hold on. Hang on. I don't know why. For some reason, I just want to call her Painkiller. Why? Why am I doing this to myself? What is? I thought her name was Painkiller. New assistant. No, it's Punchline. I don't even have to finish this. It's Punchline. So could you imagine Punchline? And then I look over here and you guys are telling me what it is. Thank you. Could you imagine Punchline in the Arrowverse, but actually being like she is in the comics? That would be creepy. Like, but then to be fair, if Punchline was in Batwoman, they'd all be dead because she's not like Harley. She's like insane. So she's insane. She's crazier than Joker is, in my opinion. So I feel like introducing her in the Arrowverse live action form, unless you plan on screwing her up in character, assassinating her, would not work. But at the same time, I mean, I really like her character in that she is extreme and she doesn't wait around and she doesn't pull punches. It's not like I could kill you right now, but I'll wait till later where I can do my speed. No, she's just gonna have to kill you. So I don't know how they would handle that in the Arrowverse. I think she would be too much and too dark. So I don't know. I don't think they could. I think only Deadpool could have a character like that. I agree. Yeah, but Joker met his match with that one. She's a mess. She is a mess. How are you gonna lead Ray on like that? Poor Ray. No, Ray and Nate, the reason they have such a good bromance is they are the two men who've been screwed over by the women that they've been into or are in love with in the entire season. So they both understood each other completely. Because Ray was in love with Felicity, and that didn't pan out. His first fiance died. He liked Hot Girl. That didn't pan out. He liked Amaya. That didn't pan out. Now he has Nora. Finally got with Nora, and then they had to leave Legends. So yeah, he's had a lot. And then poor Nate. Nate is like a revolving door for relationships. It's pretty sad. Okay, let's see. Trying to make sure I am not missing. I just watched Elvira, Mistress of the Darkness, and was dying. Elvira will do that to you. Okay. I think I read this one. Supergirl is as vulnerable to magic as a regular person. She would certainly have a fair shot. True. I mean, that's the thing, though. I don't think of the silver crystal as magic. It's not like Zatanna. It's the silver crystal is something entirely different. Like for me, the silver crystal, the Genzusha, is considered endgame. And if Sailor Saturn shows up, everything is just endgame anyway. She drops that glaive, it's over. I actually wrote a parody where she just kept pretending to like drop it, just to piss people off. It was really funny. Good night, Ray. You going to sleep? I don't think they could. I can only eat that praying. Did Felicity cut off her hair in the 90s? Potentially. The silver crystal is magic. I mean, I just feel like the silver crystal is like a whole other level. Like there's magic and then there's the silver crystal. It's like a whole end game scenario. It's, I don't know. I mean, it's anime magic. Let's put it that way. I'm not fond of the current Captain Britain corpse. Yeah, Excalibur's being weird for me too. But again, I'm not a Betsy Braddock fan. I am a Quanon fan. As a matter of fact, my Quanon doll should be here today. I'm so excited. Or tomorrow morning. It is here today, but I need to get it for tomorrow morning. But I've always loved Quanon, and I always thought Betsy was weird. But I mean, this isn't the first time that Betsy has been Captain Britain. So, I mean, it's actually weird. It's like Asgardian magic. Yeah, I mean, the silver crystal just seems to be able to do everything. Quanon has a doll. So not really, but see, they made a Psylocke doll that has the same poses that I see current Quanon do. So I have named her Quanon. Out when I open it, I'll take a picture and put it on the community board. But yeah, technically, no. But considering it's Quanin's body, I've assigned it as Quanin and not Betsy. You follow Q, Maria? Q? What? Like, what? Isn't the silver crystal the physical manifestation of Asagi's soul? Kinda. So, like, this is what I believe. I believe that if you ever watch Devil Hunter Yoko or any show, or like, I guess a more relevant one would be The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, how you have all of these past lives or past incarnations that have all had their life essence contributing to this crystal. So by the time you get it, it's like all these generations of Serenities before you, because everybody's name has to be effing Serenity. Even Sailor Cosmos looks like Serenity. And they all encompass all of their power into this one rock. Like, they never really go into the entire Sailor, or basically even Millennium, Silver Millennium, Serenity story from the Moon Kingdom and before. Like, why was this kingdom chosen to have the silver crystal? Why are all of the Serenities clones of each other and eventually all end up with silver hair with the exact same hairstyle? Why? I mean, it's very interesting. I wish we got a prequel, like a full Millennium, was it the Moon Ogaku type backstory. So we actually saw the formation of the Jinzusha, how the Serenities got it. And I'm just going to say this. How did Serenity's mother, Queen Serenity, give birth to her and even get pregnant with her when there's never mention in the Moon Kingdom of a father? So there's so many questions I've always had about Sailor Moon. And Naoko has not really done a lot to really tell us the backstory of where the original Serenity, I can't even call it the original Serenity. How many Serenities were there? It's interesting. It's interesting. And how all of the Sailor Senshi are actually princesses of their respected worlds, but are actually part of her court, which also means they have to give their lives for her. There's a lot to it that has always been questionable. But I always think of like Queen Serenity as like a Themysciran. She just molested whoever came to the Moon Kingdom and got knocked up. But how they always come out looking identical to Serenity, every Serenity. The only one that seems to be kind of off and a little like an albino with pink hair is Chibiusa. Where the pink hair came from, I have no idea, because blonde and black hair do not make pink, and they certainly don't make red eyes. So there's something going on there. But which is interesting considering Serenity or Chibiusa's future man, Ilios, is actually a Pegasus. There's so many problematic moments in Sailor Moon. I love it, but there's lots of questions. But yeah, it's just questions that I have. So just questions that I have. But it's Sailor Moon. We love it. We don't understand why they fight in these skirts that are like riding up their butts. They're not there. Nowhere is that even practical to fight in. Although Ruby did say, and Ruby and Weiss both said that skirts are combat ready. So maybe I'm just missing something. I don't know. Maybe the Moon Goddess did it. But let's face it, it's going to be Avengers versus Batman and Friends. And people are hoping this leads to a Marvel versus DC fighting game. That would be interesting. I would love to see that. There are rumors that the NetherRealm Studios is making a Marvel. So the Marvel fighting game, I did hear that they are making a Marvel fighting game. I play Marvel Puzzle Quest, so I'm down with that. I think that would be cool. Man, the horn probably does some magic. I'm done with you. I'm like, darn. Quana needs her own figures. I agree with that. That's a pretty name for a little girl, Quanin and Lyrica. I love that. Apparently, as Yuto pointed out, Quanin marries Forge, I believe you said, and they have a daughter named Sora. So she'd be half Japanese, half Native American. What I love about that is Sora means sky. And sky is very, depending on the native culture, the sky is very important to a lot of culture. Like my grandfather was Apache, so they love fire. They love fire. Earth is like a big thing. But there are a lot of different native tribes that are very akin to the sky and stars. And I thought having her name be Sora, which, is a very popular name in Japan and also a very cool Kingdom Hearts character. And then, have it also mean something that could be important in Native American culture was very cool. So deep thinking. Maria, I wish you named your next child Sky or Ocean. Ray, you have that child for me. Because I am almost 45. There'll be no more coming out of this. No more. I am done. Maybe if Mai has a child with her girlfriend, then they can name their child Sky or Ocean. But knowing her, she's emo, so she'll name her daughter like something after Five Nights at Freddy. I don't know. I don't know. But those are cool. I like Sky or Ocean. That'd be Sora or Yumi would be cool. At least Quanon and Grey Crow have rapport. True. I prefer Quanon and Grey as opposed to Quanon and Forge. Yeah, I'm glad Forge is getting something though. That would be so hot. And then use your spouse is River, that an epic family tree. So think about it. My last name is Park. So my spouse's name is River Park. Like, it's already epic. My daughter's name is Mai, or pronounced Mai, M-A-I. So any last name that you put with Mai is already epic. When I was little, I liked the name Deja. And the funny thing about that is that when I got pregnant, I was going to name her Deja. And if I had a boy, I was going to name him Ronde because my daughter's last name is Vu. So Deja and Rendezvous would have been cool. But my mother told me that those were stripper names. So I couldn't do that. And then my daughter ends up getting a girlfriend named Deja. Like, irony. Irony. Just saying, just putting it out in the universe. You learned a little bit about me tonight, guys. See, you get a little bit of personal stuff in these streams. Keeping it real. Mommy's spinning those facts. I mean. Hellions 11 also debuts Old Lady Quanon for the first time. Okay, I definitely did see the Old Lady Quanon. She's probably still hot, though. Because Quanon is hot. All right. We are 2 minutes and 52 seconds and counting away from almost 2 hours. Not bad, though. I mean, we got through 3 shows tonight. I'm very happy because sometimes those Arrowverse ones me. Like, I will tell you this, if Supergirl had been more involved, this would have been a lot deeper of a conversation. But I mean, considering Supergirl was filler, it didn't really. And considering the Flash was more Caitlyn centric and more Barry being stupid again, it really wasn't a no-brainer on that either. But let's see. You don't want to find all those single pills in your laundry. What's wrong with you, Ray? Oh my gosh. What is wrong? Time to go watch Flash and Supergirl since I missed the episode by sleeping. Kevin, what is wrong with you? Why are you in a review for these shows when you haven't watched them yet? Though I do appreciate the support. I really do. I really do. Maria, you are my white lighter. Oh, thank you. I'm a cool white lighter too. I'm not gonna do stupid shit. I'm not gonna do stupid shit. You will never be in danger because we're gonna follow the minority rules. What? Somebody in the house? Well, we are not. Saved your life. You heard a noise downstairs? Well, we're not even on. Look, we've been on the highway the whole time. It's fine. What? What's happening? There are killers in the woods. What direction? We're in the other way. That's how we survive stuff. We're not going to investigate anything. We're not going to fight anything. If they need to fight, they come to us. If they can't find us, though, we'll be like the movie Jumper. We'll just keep jumping. I can teleport. I'm a white lighter. We can do this all day. Soft. It's fine. It is fine. Let's see. I'm Tessa. I will take that. I love Tessa. She really died too quickly in that show. I was so mad. Is Izzy and Javi's mom going to show up for Mother's Day next year? No. I don't know where the hell their mom is in Dino Fury. I don't know who anybody's family members are in Dino Fury. Power Rangers have always had plot holes when it comes to family. And you don't even have to hear those darn jingles. I wouldn't hear them anyway. I'd be the one white lighter with earplugs in. The white lighters of this series still angel-like in the way they were in the first series? No. I mean, they're supposed to be the embodiment of good, but they don't really call them angels. So technically, no. But we can talk about all that and Friday, because Friday night is going to be our charm stream, since now they're moving charm to Friday nights. So yay, excited about that. I really am, because that means I don't have to worry about late night Sunday streams anymore. That makes me extremely happy, because Friday is a lot easier than Sunday to keep people up when they have to go to work and school and whatever the next day. So I am happy about that. Trying to be respectful, people. Trying to be respectful, because it's already bad that I'm doing this on Monday, sometimes on Tuesday. Technically, I do it every Tuesday, sometimes Monday. Yeah. Just throwing it out there, guys. But all right, we will do a stream Thursday, but it'll be in the afternoon for Kung Fu, because the next episode comes out tomorrow night. So we are going to definitely be talking about that, because I am invested 100% in that. I really, really love what they're doing in Kung Fu. So we're following that track, because I have theories, but I mean, I'm really into the side characters too. So it really is entertaining for me. So we will definitely do that. Thank you for saying that. You are awesome, Ito. How Macy gets kicked out of her building. Ray. Macy can get kicked out of everything. I mean, she's probably... I don't know. It looks like in the Charmed, honestly, it looks like somebody's going to die. Like, I think, because they said lethal consequences. Lethal is, you can only really take lethal one way. So it looks like somebody is either about to die or going to die or has died for them to break their curse. And then they have to undo it. That whole situation is so OG Charmed Avatar thing to me. It's crazy. It's like the Avatars. But yeah, we'll talk about that. All right. We're at 2 hours. It is time for everybody to go to sleep. And if you are, in an area where it is now daytime, go to school, go to work, take a nap, play video games, eat, hydrate, stay in school, try not to get COVID, and be safe. And we will reconvene on Thursday afternoon. And I will, more than likely, it'll be around 1 p.m. I just got to make sure, because I might have I have some maintenance people coming over. They fixed my air, but not everything is fixed yet. So, but it will definitely be a Thursday afternoon stream, and I will pop it up in the community. So make sure you follow the community tab, because everything I do that's like updated, if I have to change a stream or whatever, it's always in the community tab. So make sure you pay attention to that, because that's where I put everything. But yay, you guys are awesome. Have a good rest of your day, night, morning, sleep, and all of that. You guys are amazing. Until the next one, guys, have a good everything. Love you.